What if something has been watching us from orbit for 13,000 years? Not a weather satellite, not space debris. Something that was there before ancient Egypt, before Stonehenge, before written language. Something that governments have desperately tried to hide. And something that NASA accidentally photographed in 1998. This is the story of the Black Knight satellite. And once you hear all of it, you'll understand why it refuses to die. It begins in the summer of 1899. Nikola Tesla, the greatest electrical mind who ever lived, has relocated to a remote laboratory in Colorado Springs. He's alone. It's the middle of the night, and something terrifying happens. His receiver begins picking up signals, rhythmic, repeating, structured, not random noise, something that sounds almost like a countdown. Tesla writes, "My first observations positively terrified me, as there was present in them something mysterious, not to say supernatural. And I was alone in my laboratory at night." He studies them for months, rules out every natural explanation, rules out the sun, the moon, Venus. Then publishes his conclusion: the signals, he believes, came from another world. The scientific establishment laughs at him. But here's the thing. Nobody, then or now, could fully explain what he actually heard. What makes this even more striking? Tesla's lab was funded by John Jacob Astor IV, one of the wealthiest men in the world, the same man who would later die aboard the Titanic. Two legendary mysteries connected by the same man. Fast forward to 1927. A Norwegian engineer named Jürgen Hals is listening to shortwave radio signals from the Netherlands. And something impossible happens. He hears the signal echo back, 3 seconds late, then 8 seconds, then 15. A signal bouncing around the entire planet takes about 1/7 of a second. So what was bouncing these transmissions back after 15 seconds? Dutch physicist Balthasar van der Pol replicates the experiment. His telegram reads, "Last night special emission gave echoes here varying between 3 and 15 seconds. 50% of echoes heard after 8 seconds. Scientists publish the findings in Nature. And then? No one can explain it. These long-delayed echoes remain only partially understood to this day. A University of Oslo physicist said recently, "With today's satellites and sensors, the mystery could probably be solved. What's holding us back is the problem is not considered important enough." Not important enough? To investigate signals that nobody can explain. Jump to 1954. 3 years before Sputnik, before humanity had launched a single satellite. And yet, American newspapers start running a shocking story. UFO researcher Donald Keyhoe, a retired Marine Corps aviator, goes on national radio and claims the U.S. Air Force has detected not one, but 2 artificial satellites already in orbit. The Air Force denies everything. Then, in January 1960, something changes. The U.S. Navy's radar network, a system called Dark Fence, a tripwire of 50-kilowatt transmitters stretched across the entire width of America, detects an unknown object passing overhead. Twice, in polar orbit. The commanding officer races to the Pentagon. Within minutes, the information reaches President Eisenhower himself. Time magazine covers the story. The object is real. The orbit is real. And nobody knows what it is. The Department of Defense eventually tells the public it's just the remains of a lost American satellite. Case closed. Except, here's what they didn't say. The satellite program they referenced was a lie. A cover story for Corona, America's first classified spy satellite operation, run jointly by the CIA and the Air Force. The government literally could not tell the public what the object was, because doing so would have exposed their most secret intelligence program. Corona wasn't declassified until 1995. For 35 years, the government was physically unable to explain what was tracked in 1960. And that silence, That gap in the official record is exactly where the myth took root and never let go. Then comes 1973. A Scottish science writer named Duncan Lunan does something remarkable. He takes those Norwegian delay sequences, 8, 11, 15, 3, 13, 8, 8, 12, 15 seconds, and plots them as coordinates. What he sees stops him cold. A star map of the constellation Boötes. With one star displaced from its expected position, displaced to where it would have been approximately 13,000 years ago, accounting for the actual movement of stars through space. Lunan publishes his findings. The Sunday Telegraph runs it on the front page. CBS Evening News covers it. Time magazine covers it. The decoded message, Lunan claims, reads, "Start here. Our home is Epsilon Boötes, a double star. We live on the 6th planet of 7. The world loses its mind, but then the calculations are checked. Data points had been quietly moved to make the map work. The target star turned out to be the wrong type entirely. Too hot, too massive, too short-lived for life to ever evolve." Lunan himself formally retracted the findings in 1976, admitting outright errors and unscientific methods. The story, however, was already unstoppable. December 1998. Space Shuttle Endeavour is on its way to the International Space Station. During a spacewalk, astronaut Jerry Ross is attaching thermal insulation covers to the Unity module. One of them breaks free from its tether and drifts away. We have the audio. Commander Robert Cabana's voice crackles through. "Jerry, one of the thermal covers got away from you." Cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev photographs the tumbling object from inside the shuttle. The image shows a dark, angular, strangely shaped silhouette against the black void of space. It looks nothing like space debris. It looks nothing like a blanket. It looks, unmistakably, like a craft. Those photographs spread across the internet like wildfire. Every unconnected story, Tesla's signals, the Norwegian echoes, the 1960 radar detection, the star map, suddenly had a face. A visual anchor, something you could look at and feel in your chest. NASA said it was a thermal blanket. The transcripts confirm it. The object was cataloged, tracked, and burned up in the atmosphere a week later. But the photograph exists, and photographs, once seen, are hard to unsee. In 2015, Pepsi released a high-budget short film called Black Knight Decoded, starring Hollywood actors, directed by an Emmy Award winner, opening with the words, "In 1899, Nikola Tesla discovered a satellite orbiting Earth. Its origin can be traced back over 13,000 years. This is not science fiction. This is real." It got over 2 million views. A billion-dollar corporation selling soda using a debunked conspiracy theory. Because the story is just that powerful, one last detail that rarely gets mentioned. A French scientist named Jacques Vallée, one of the most respected figures in UFO research, a man with actual scientific credentials, claims that in 1961, while working for the French Space Commission, he personally witnessed data showing a retrograde satellite in orbit, an object moving in the wrong direction, and that his superior destroyed the recordings. Vallée is not a fringe figure. He is not easily dismissed, and his claim has never been verified or disproven. So what is the truth? 6 genuinely strange events. 6 real mysteries, each resistant enough to explanation that they survived long enough to find each other on the internet. A government that spent 35 years unable to tell the truth. A photograph that looks exactly like what people wanted to see. And a French scientist who says something was erased. Maybe the Black Knight is space debris, misidentified signals, and a lost thermal blanket. Maybe. But Tesla heard something real in 1899. Those radio echoes were documented in peer-reviewed journals and are still not fully explained. The 1960 object reached the president's desk. And somewhere in a French archive, there may have been recordings that no longer exist. The greatest mystery isn't the Black Knight itself. It's why, after more than 125 years, we still can't fully explain what started all of this in the first place.